The bullet comments say I'm a doomed, villainous side character. To survive, I started raising the down-and-out male lead. Every day, I shoved food at him like I was furious. Eat. If you don't, I'll feed you myself. Later, when he returned to his wealthy roots, I figured it was time to retreat gracefully. But he backed me into a corner, his belt looping around my wrists. "Peter Lamberg," he said with a smirk, "now it's your turn to eat." His fingertip brushed the corner of my mouth as he laughed softly. "One drop spilled, that's another box added." Welcome to History Channel. Subscribe to follow all our latest adventures. Story begins. As I was heading downstairs, a sharp force rammed into my back. I hadn't seen it coming at all. My body pitched forward uncontrollably. I barely managed to catch the railing to slow the fall, but still landed hard at the bend of the stairwell. Pain shot through my ankle, which was already swelling, red and unnatural. Everyone around me fell silent. Their eyes shifted, almost in unison, to the person who'd bumped into me, filled with quiet sympathy. That guy scrambled down the steps, reaching toward me in panic. "Are you okay?" "I'm so sorry. Someone shoved me from behind just now." I ignored his explanation and looked down at my injury. Judging from the swelling, I could already guess how badly my ankle was twisted, how painful it should have been. I had congenital emotional deficiency disorder. Pain rarely registered the same way it did for others. But even if I couldn't feel it, I never let anyone off easily. "You made me get hurt? Then don't expect to walk away clean." Clenching my jaw, I pushed myself up, raising my right hand to slap him, just to get it out of my system. But right then, something bizarre flashed across my vision. It's coming. Brace yourself, iconic villain moment incoming. This slap is the trigger for the male lead's bullying arc leads straight to his dark descent. Dark descent? Let's call it what it is, revenged. Okay, but just to play devil's advocate, isn't the villain like a rich young master with emotional disorder? Falling down the stairs and slapping the male lead kinda makes sense. Are you seriously defending this behavior just because he's hot? He's not a child. The male lead already explained it was someone else who pushed him. He even apologized. And the villain is still going full drama queen. Exactly. And don't forget, he lets his lackeys bully the male lead later, just calmly eating a burger while the guy's bleeding out on the ground. Luckily karma hits hard. He ends up dying by the male lead's hand. And it's brutal. Every bone shattered. Hurts just thinking about it. He got pulverized. Peter's bones were practically dog food by the end. My raised hand froze midair. Those strange lines of text floated before me like a flood of on-screen comments. Wild, absurd, prophetic. Peter. Villain? Were they talking about me? I die at the male lead's hands? Crushed bones? Pulverized? Ridiculous. Narrowing my eyes, I stared at the apologetic boy in front of me. If the comments were right, this trembling mess must be the so-called male lead. I gave a cold, humorless laugh. Then, instead of slapping him, I twisted my hand midair and shoved him back hard. Scanning the crowd, I asked lazily, "So who pushed me?" The male lead blinked. Definitely hadn't expected that. He turned instinctively, glancing toward the top of the stairs. There, a tall boy tried to melt back into the crowd, smug smile still half stuck on his face. The comments exploded again. Why didn't Peter slap the male lead? What's going on? Did the plot just shift? In the original, the slap already landed by now. Wait, he's asking who pushed him. What the hell is Peter planning? I ignored the noise. Locked eyes on the boy trying to slink away. Even with my ankle swollen and screaming, I grit my teeth and started climbing the stairs, one step at a time. The crowd scattered like startled birds. The tall guy's face went pale as I closed in. Peter, it wasn't me. I swear. Oh. I sneered. Then why are you running? He turned to bolt. Too late. I grabbed the back of his collar and yanked him back. Then raised my hand. Smash. The crisp sound of the slap echoed in the stairwell like a gunshot. The comment stream went nuts. Am I hallucinating? Why did Peter slap a side character instead of the male lead? The storyline is collapsing. But also, that slap was so satisfying. I flexed my tingling fingers. Standing above him, watching as he clutched his face, trembling with frustration, I sneered coldly. You think you're qualified to mess with me? He went pale instantly. Cold sweat beaded at his temple as his voice quivered. Peter, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I let out a scornful laugh. My gaze slid toward the staircase. I tilted my chin lazily in its direction. Roll down yourself, I said, pausing just long enough for a wicked glint to flash in my eyes. Or do you need a little help? He froze. Eyes wide with fear, he glanced at the steps, then back up at me, lips trembling, completely speechless. The bullet comments exploded. Holy shit. Peter's off the rails today. Oh, that smirk is everything. Okay, but, villain or not, this face is illegally attractive. Dead face with tears of joy. The male lead's been sidelined the whole time. Dude looks completely lost. I waited, patiently, for 2 full seconds. When he didn't move, I raised a brow. So you do want help? I took a deliberate step forward. Panicked, he flailed both hands. And no, Peter. I'll do it. I'll go. Gritting his teeth, he shuffled toward the edge of the stairs, dropped into a crouch, shut his eyes and tumbled down like a sack of potatoes. Thud. He landed awkwardly at the bend, teeth bared from the pain but never made a sound. I was satisfied. Turning my head, I looked back at the male lead, still standing in place. His expression was a twisted mess of emotions. He looked like he wanted to speak, but didn't. Then his eyes rolled back and he passed out on the spot. I scoffed and stepped right over him. Not my problem. Never would be. He should be grateful I wasn't causing trouble for him, let alone helping. Expecting kindness from me? Delusional. Honestly, what a joke. This weak, dizzy mess was supposedly the one who'd crush me into bone dust someday? Must be nice being the author's golden boy. That plot armor could kill someone. I walked on, face expressionless. The comment stream was a mess. What's wrong with Peter today? He didn't slap the male lead, sure, but he's still doomed to a tragic end. Oh, bet he doesn't even know the male lead's the real Lamberg heir. Peter's just a stand-in. The Lamberg family always thought Peter was a cold-blooded freak. Once their real son comes back, they toss Peter like garbage. Funniest part? The only thing this villain ever loved was food. And in the end, he's fighting stray dogs for scraps. Ha! I stopped in my tracks. Eyes narrowed. A ridiculous thought floated through my mind. If I bullied the male lead, he'd turn dark and I'd die. But if I didn't bully him, the Lamberg family would blame me for all his past suffering anyway, and I'd still die. So either way I was screwed. Only one option left. I had to pamper the male lead like a treasured pet. Turning slowly, I stared down at his unconscious body, messy hair, pale lips, completely passed out. The bullet comments were trembling now. WTF, that look from Peter is terrifying. He's not about to finish him off, right? W up. Male lead. Run. I curled my lip, pulled out my phone and called the infirmary. Someone fainted on the stairs near the senior classrooms. Send a stretcher. While I waited, some strange impulse made me crouch down and check if he was breathing. It was faint, but steady. Probably low blood sugar. I pulled out a cow tails from my pocket, tore the wrapper open with a single jerk. Pinching his jaw, I shoved the candy into his mouth. And the bullet comments went nuclear. Peter just fed the male lead a cow tails? Did the sun rise in the west? Who is this guy? No way. No villain feeds cow tails. This can't be Peter Lamberg. Peter, your character arc is in flames. But is it just me, or was that candy feeding move kind of hot? Not just you. Sickly beautiful top times psycho tsundra bottom. I'm losing it. Reverse roles? Still amazing. NFL, this went from revenge drama to full-blown BL. They both adults, right? So we can ship this guilt-free. W up, fangirls. Peter's still trash. I'll bet a whole box of cow tails this is all part of some twisted scheme. Peter's definitely up to no good. They were in full chaos mode. I didn't care. Expression flat, I glanced over him again. He was skinny as a rake. His school uniform was faded, wrists so thin they looked breakable. No wonder when the Lamberg family finally got their real son back, they'd practically cried blood over him. Let me be merciful, just this once. Sure. Here is the English novel-style translation, written fluently and expressively from the perspective of a Native American who's deeply familiar with Chinese and Danmei narrative tropes. He is used exclusively throughout for the male lead as requested. The school infirmary. He lay there on the hospital bed within 4 drip, pale and unconscious. I sat nearby with my leg in a cast, scrolling idly through my phone. Half an hour later, he stirred. His lashes trembled before he slowly opened his eyes, gaze drifting groggily across the room, until it landed on my leg in a cast. He visibly froze. Sorry, Peter, he rasped, voice rough from sleep. I slid my phone into my pocket without looking up. Sorry's all you've got? He looked like a cornered rabbit, awkwardly trying to sit up, the 4 tubes swaying with him. I can compensate you. Talk's cheap. I cut him off with a flick of my fingers. Show me. He blinked, confused. Huh. I nodded toward the massive thermal containers next to the bed. I've been into mukbangs lately, I said flatly. Eat for me. His eyes widened at the sight of the containers. His throat bobbed. To this much? My gaze narrowed. What? Need me to spoon feed you? I reached out, pretending to grab a spoon. He panicked, waving his hands and fumbling for the containers. No, I'll do it myself. His sudden movement made the 4-line wobble dangerously, and blood started leaking back into the tube. Clumsy. Clicking my tongue, I grabbed his wrist to steady it. Hold still. His wrist was slim, almost delicate, and I could feel the bones under my palm. Frowning, I adjusted the 4, then tucked the pillow behind his back for support. Eat. His face flushed pink. Cradling the container, he began nibbling in small, hesitant bites. The comment stream went silent for a breath, then lit up like fireworks. Is this really Peter? Wait, wasn't he supposed to have emotional dysfunction? He's taking care of people just fine. Did the author rewrite the story to cash in on those villain redemption trends? It's giving vibes. System notification, male lead affection plus 40, darkening index minus 50, Peter's survival odds now at 60%. That's more like it. Guess my efforts weren't wasted. My mood lifted just a bit. I softened my gaze and rested my chin on my palm, watching him eat. Maybe he was low on sugar or something, but the more he ate, the redder his cheeks got. He took forever to finish. Watching him stuff his face actually made me hungry. Ridiculous. Done with this nonsense, I grabbed my crutch and got ready to leave. Behind me, he hesitated before calling out, Peter? I paused, waiting. After a moment's hesitation, he asked quietly, Why are you being so nice to me? I sneered inwardly. Because I don't want to get killed by you in the future, obviously. Not that I'd ever say that out loud. So instead, I turned and walked toward the door. Halfway there, I stopped, pulled a handful of colorful fruit candies from my pocket, and without so much as a glance, tossed them onto his bed. If I ever catch you passing out from hunger again, I said coldly, you're dead meat. The comments section absolutely imploded. He acts all tough but secretly cares loudly crying face. Peter, I mean but I'm doting. The textbook definition of tsundere. Hello. Why is the male lead blushing like that? The broody loner got rebooted into a softie? I'm dead. This is peak contrast kinkta. More iconic scenes coming up. I can feel it. Thanks to the endless commentary flooding my head, I had a pretty solid idea of his backstory by now. To sum it up, an alcoholic father, a mother who died young, a gravely ill grandma, and a completely broken version of him left behind. Tragic. Predictable. But still tragic. The kicker? That was supposed to be my life. And yet, I was the one who got the wealth and privilege, and bullied him on top of it. Which meant I had to die in every imaginable way, according to the script. Just being nice and feeding him a little wasn't going to be enough. So I started planning ahead. While I was raising the male lead, I figured I'd build a backup plan too. That's right, by feeding the stray dogs in the neighborhood. Hey, just thinking ahead. If I ended up homeless one day, begging on the streets, maybe they'd remember me. Maybe they'd let me eat in peace instead of tearing into me for scraps. I sat on the steps outside an alleyway, tossing the last packet of dog food to the scruffy mutts crowding around. They wagged their tails wildly as they ate, clearly satisfied. I squinted at them contentedly. Was just about to tear into my own burger when a sharp, mocking whistle echoed from down the alley. I looked up. A few punks were surrounding someone, shoving him back and forth. The guy clutched something tightly to his chest, refusing to let go even as their fists pounded down on him. I stared for 2 seconds. Then looked away, expression blank, and took a serious bite of my burger. In a world full of chaos, food still reigns supreme. The bullet comments, however, were losing their minds. Wow, textbook emotional detachment. All he sees is that burger. Peter Lamberg, would it kill you to look again? That washed-out uniform? That's clearly the male lead. He's protecting the candy you gave him. He's bleeding at the mouth and still won't let go. Peter, go rescue him and rack up some redemption points already. Me, don't cue me, I'm literally on crutches. I really wasn't the type to meddle. But hey, one full meal today meant more meals tomorrow. I could tell which situations were worth it. I had only taken a few steps when I saw the leader of the punks reach toward the thing the guy was protecting. Just as I was about to intervene, I saw it. The once shrinking, cornered male lead suddenly snapped his head up, sharp, dangerous focus in his eyes. With one swift motion, he gripped the punk's wrist and swept out his leg. The guy crashed to the ground with a solid thud. Before the rest could react, he delivered a brutal elbow, followed by a clean shoulder throw. Every strike hit like it was meant to end the fight right there. Within a minute, they were all on the floor, groaning in pain. I stood frozen, leaning on my crutch, locked eyes with him as he stood over them, chest heaving. He was bruised and bleeding, but still clutching that little packet of candy like it was the only thing tethering him to earth. The fierceness in his eyes began to melt away, replaced by panic. Peter. Bullet comments erupted. HLFD, the male lead can fight. So he was faking being weak all along. Sweet on the outside, savage on the inside. Yes, pleased. This was the scene the comments had foreshadowed. The male lead gets beaten bloody, while I stand aside and eat my burger, calm as ever. Excuse me, but can I just say something here? Emotionally detached and allergic to drama. That's the character setting your author gave me. I like burgers. Is that a crime now? And seriously, with moves like that, did he really need saving? He chose to endure the beating. Why is that on me? Sure. Pin the whole plot on me. As always. I narrowed my eyes and looked at him with clear annoyance. You're not going to explain? He stood there, visibly flustered, like a kid caught breaking the rules. They were trying to steal the candy you gave me. I raised a brow. That's your explanation? I wasn't asking why you fought. I was asking why you could clearly take them down, but still let yourself get hit in the first place. The bullet comments, as usual, started filling in the blanks. Probably because punks like that hold grudges. He didn't fight back, 'cause he was afraid they'd come after him harder later. Plus his grandma's in the hospital. He can't afford trouble. So a few punches were better than endless retaliation. But the moment they went for Peter's candy, that was the last straw. Yes. Don't mess with the candy. I can't believe how soft this made me feel. My gaze dropped to that crumpled packet in his hand, gripped so tightly it was nearly flattened. All that for this? Over some stupid candy? What the hell was there to protect? I was genuinely annoyed. Peter, he said nervously, voice small, don't be mad. I won't fight again, I promise. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned and swung my crutch hard at the kneecaps of the punk leader trying to get back up. Peter, he gasped, face going ghostly white from the pain. His voice trembled, but his expression was a pathetic mix of fear and forced politeness. He was scared of me. Years ago, a gang of low-life thugs cornered me in an alley. I grabbed their leader by the collar and beat him within an inch of his life, ignoring every punch the rest of them threw at me. That guy spent 2 weeks in the ICU. And me? I walked away untouched, protected by the Lamberg name. Ever since then, I had a reputation. Everyone on the street knew I was loaded, unhinged, and had no sense of self-preservation. No one dared cross me. I pressed the tip of my crutch against the punk leader's chest, slowly adding pressure, enjoying the pained groan rising from his throat. My voice was soft, calm. Listen closely. From now on, he's mine. If I ever see you mess with him again, I'll tear off one of your arms. They nodded like bobbleheads, stumbling over their apologies as they scrambled away, practically crawling. And the bullet comments? Absolutely unhinged. Ah, my person? Peter just claimed him. Peter, do you even hear yourself right now? The male lead's face is so red right now, oh my god. When I got back to the alley, my burger was gone. Not even crumbs left. Those damn dogs had devoured it. The big yellow dog was still licking the empty burger wrapper with gusto, tail wagging like we were best buddies. I stared. So much for building a relationship. The mutt was already stealing my food. Resigned, I reached down and rubbed its head. Fine. I'll count it as feeding you on purpose. Under the street lamp, the male lead stood with his shadow stretched long across the cracked sidewalk. Peter, you haven't eaten yet, right? I can go buy you something. No need. I cut him off, casually brushing some dust from my sleeve. We'll go to your place. You cook. He blinked, clearly caught off guard. His Adam's apple bobbed. And my place? What? I raised a brow. Don't tell me you can't cook. I can, he blurted, then hesitated. But my house. I knew what he was worried about. A rundown apartment in a sketchy neighborhood. Well, cramped, dingy. And worst of all, there might be a drunk father waiting inside. But that was exactly why I wanted to go. To see for myself how he lived. And maybe deal with some lingering problems. Don't dawdle. I interrupted again, already moving forward with my crutch. Lead the way. The night breeze carried the sweet scent of osmanthus blossoms. Behind me, I heard hurried footsteps. Then a tug at the edge of my sleeve. Peter, this way. He led me through a narrow alley. Turned left, then right again and again until... Here, he said. It was an old residential building. Concrete walls lined with fading graffiti and peeling sticker ads. The stairwell light flickered weakly, motion sensors struggling to keep up. He pushed the door open. A faint scent of laundry detergent drifted out. Come in, he said, stepping aside. His ears were glowing red. I hobbled in on my crutch, eyes quietly scanning the space. Less than 40 square meters, but spotlessly clean. The dull gray flooring had been scrubbed to a polish. The walls, covered in certificates and awards, packed tight. Only then did I notice his full name, Tom Dalton. Tom quickly yanked the drying clothes off the wire hanger, then scurried over with a wooden chair, wiping it down obsessively before motioning for me to sit. I'll make some noodles. It won't take long. The kitchen was barely 2 square meters. Tom tied an apron around his waist with practiced ease. I leaned against the doorframe, watching him boil water, crack eggs, drop in noodles, fluid, efficient, focused. Not long after, a steaming bowl was set before me. White noodles nestled in amber broth, topped with glistening scallions. The scent drifted up, warm and comforting. He held out chopsticks. Want to try it? I took a bite, and to my surprise, it was really good. When I looked up, he was watching me anxiously, eyes shining black in the golden glow of the kitchen light. The comment feed turned into a squealing mess. Aha, they're alone together in his house. Eye contact? Why does this feel like a newlywed domestic scene? Yo, Peter got 2 eggs. The male lead usually splits 1 over 2 meals. It's so warm, like an actual home. I'm crying. When's the last time Peter ate with someone else? Peter, say something nice. He's waiting. I looked up, straight into Tom Dalton's wide, hopeful eyes. My throat bobbed. Compliment him? That word didn't even exist in my vocabulary for the past 18 years. But before I knew what I was doing, I scooped up another bite of noodles. Only after finishing did I mutter, not bad. But next time, make the eggs soft-boiled. And the bullet comments exploded. T is peaked Sundra behavior right there. No worries, Tom's gonna unlock Peter on his own. Tom's inner thoughts. Not bad equals amazing, next time equals he wants to eat again equals Peter loves me. Look. Tom's ears are turning red again. When I glanced his way, he quickly dropped his smile, pretending to fiddle with the table clutter. If you liked it, Peter, I can make it again tomorrow. And then, thud thud, heavy footsteps outside. The clink of bottles. Tom froze instantly. He stood up, fists clenched, fingers digging into the edge of the table, knuckles bone white. The door burst open. A middle-aged man stumbled in, reeking of alcohol, face flushed red with rage and whiskey. You little bastard, who the hell let you bring some random guy back here? Tom instinctively stepped closer, sliding half a step in front of me. He's my classmate, he said. Watch your mouth. I patted his shoulder, nudging him aside. After all, this man, the one bullet comments insisted was my biological father, was exactly the reason I'd come. The drunkard's bleary eyes swept over me, then landed on the bowl of noodles on the table. He snapped. Who said you could eat without me? I ain't dead yet, he roared, grabbing a bottle of liquor and hurling it across the room. Whether it was his aim or pure spite, the bottle flew straight for my head. Tom Dalton moved before I did. He lunged in front of me and blocked it with his forearm. Glass exploded on impact, slicing open a long, bloody gash. The drunkard let out a vicious laugh, grabbing Tom by the collar. Just like your whore of a mother. His raised hand whistled through the air, about to strike. I caught it mid-swing, clamping down on his wrist. Enraged, he reached for the crutch I'd leaned against the wall. But Tom was faster. He grabbed the man's other arm and shoved him back, eyes suddenly glinting with steel. Don't touch him, he said, voice cold. Unfamiliar. The comments section exploded. Oh my God, the male lead actually fought back? In the original, he never dared defy his drunk father. Just for flinching once, his dad went straight to the hospital to raise hell. Grandma nearly had a heart attack from the stress. Calling the cops didn't help either. They'd say it's a family matter. Just told them to settle it privately. Infuriating. That man held the male lead's life in a death grip. After that, Tom never fought back again. Even when he got hit, he stood like a statue. And now he moved, to protect Peter. I'm crying. Even the drunk man was stunned by Tom's sudden shift. He stumbled back a step, then snarled and grabbed a chair. You little bastard, think you can defy me? I'd had enough. In one swift move, I pinned him to the floor. He kept spitting insults, his mouth a cesspool of filth. Disgusting. Rage boiled in my chest. I was about to shut him up for good, but then Tom's voice trembled behind me. Peter. I turned. He was pale but resolute, hands clenched tight. Can you please wait outside? I yanked a dirty sock from the corner, shoved it into the man's mouth, and gave Tom a nod. Fine. I'll be outside. The comments went berserk. Wait, Peter really left. He's giving Tom space. He trusts him to handle it. My heart. He must feel horrible, letting Peter see that part of his life. At the door I paused. Tom Dalton, I said without turning, kindness only makes monsters hungrier. He nodded. I looked him in the eyes. Voice calm, steady. But remember, I've got your back. I stood in the stairwell. The comments were spiraling. Wait, what did Peter mean by that? Is he telling him to commit murder? No, please don't. No, it's more like he's encouraging Tom to stand up for himself again. To try the legal route. But Tom's tried that before. He can't afford to gamble everything again. That's why Peter said it, he's not alone anymore. He has someone in his corner now to. The flickering hallway light cast shadows across the peeling walls. I leaned back, lit a cigarette. 5 minutes later, the door creaked open. Tom stepped out, phone in hand. I tied him up, he said, voice shaking slightly but his eyes steady. Police'll be here in 10. The comment stream exploded. Peter's words worked. Character growth. Tom's finally trying the right way again. He dared to resist and ask for help. My heart is full. I flicked the cigarette away and pulled a USB drive from my pocket. Tossing this to you, I said, face blank. It's got everything, petty theft, assault, enough to keep him locked up for a few months. Tom caught it. His expression was unreadable. Peter, he murmured, voice cracking. Thank you. I waved a hand dismissively. When he gets out. Tom cut me off, eyes cold now. I'll make sure he goes back in. I raised an eyebrow, then reached out and ruffled his hair like a dog. Not bad. You're learning fast. And, of course, the comments section lost it. They just teamed up to throw his dad in jail. Power couple moment. Does Peter even know that's his biological father yet? Wonder how he'll feel when he finds out. Regret? Rage? Nothing at all? I pulled my hand back casually, unfazed. Tom's ears were bright red. Inside, I felt nothing. Father? That trash? Please. And don't get me wrong. I have emotional dysfunction. I don't feel anything. Not even for the male lead you're all so obsessed with. The drunk was taken away. I sent my butler to help file the initial report. He was a smooth talker, efficient. With him handling things, the drunk would be lucky to see daylight anytime soon. Once everything was in motion, I dropped the first aid kit on the table. Tom flinched. That gash from the bottle was still bleeding down his arm. And yet, he kept trying to hide it behind his back. I tore open a disinfectant swab, voice flat and cold. Hand. He hesitated, pulling his hand back. I'm fine, Peter. It's nothing. I didn't bother arguing. Just grabbed his wrist, gave it a firm yank, and pinned it in place. Then I pressed the antiseptic swab hard against the cut. Tom Dalton shuddered, a strangled whimper escaping his throat before he swallowed it down. The comments section burst into distressed squeals. Ferocious bottom alert. The male lead's eyes are red. He's in pain, Peter. Take it easy. That's your future husband's arm. Who's ever seen a villain get promoted to housewife? I glanced up. Tom was biting his lip, staring at me like a puppy that just got kicked. Now it hurts. I snorted. Weren't you real tough when you jumped in front of the bottle? Still, my hand eased up. I wiped gently along the edges of the wound, careful not to reopen the gash. Then, barely audible, he whispered, I was scared it'd hit you. I scoffed, not stopping my movements. You think I can't dodge? 'Cause even if it hit me, whatever. I've got emotional dysfunction. Pain doesn't bother me. Tom looked up suddenly. His eyes locked with mine, unwavering. But I'd feel hurt. The comments lost it. He said it straight up. They're emotionally numb meets his one weakness, sincere affection. He's shaking like a leaf but still said it, my brave little wolf cub pleading face. Peter's done for. I can hear his heartbeat from across the continent. Me? Lies and slander. I picked up the swab I'd dropped from shock. Just tossed it into the trash when Tom lightly tugged at the hem of my shirt with his uninjured hand. Peter, he sniffled, eyes shining. Can you blow on it? Comments section, unhinged. He's whining loudly, crying face. Peter, I swear, if you don't pounce right now I'll do it myself. Seriously? I deadpanned. Blow on the wound, 'cause it hurts. What kind of elementary school nonsense was this? Immature, I muttered. But fine. He's the male lead. Whatever he wants, he gets. I grabbed his wrist and leaned down. Cue comment explosion. Oh my God, he's actually doing it. The tension. The heat. How is Tom not kissing him right now? His skin was burning under my fingers. I hadn't even blown yet when Tom suddenly bolted upright, face beet red, lashes trembling. I had just remembered, the stove. I left water boiling. He sprinted off toward the kitchen without a backward glance. I blinked. Huh. Did you even turn the stove on? Whatever. He's the male lead. If he says water's boiling, then it's boiling. The comments were wheezing. Bro, really? That's your escape? He tried to flirt but flustered himself instead, faced with tears of joy. Peter's just standing there, stunned. Peter, I haven't even used half my charm yet. The next day, I had no idea where he got the bandages from. But the moment he saw me, his arm was in a full makeshift sling around his neck. Comment section, scheming puppy alert. Not mad about it. I placed the coffee and breakfast Auntie had made on his desk, dragged a chair over, and sat across from him. Eat up, you childish gremlin. Tom looked at the food, then at his fake sling, then back at me, eyes wide, glistening with hope. What? I folded my arms, smirking. Need me to feed you? His ears turned crimson. Slowly he nodded. I popped the lid off the coffee thermos, jammed the straw in, and shoved it toward his face. Drink. He lowered his head and sipped slowly, lips wrapped around the straw. I watched his throat move with each swallow. Why the sling? He paused, let go of the straw, and licked the coffee from the corner of his mouth before muttering, "My hand still hurts." I stared. Then, after a beat, said flatly, "Tom Dalton, you injured your left arm. You're wearing the sling on your right." His body stiffened like a statue. The comments section died. Mayo, this is a disaster. Tom has entered social death. First time faking weakness, still figuring out the logistics. And Peter fed him anyway. I thought he didn't notice. Okay, but Peter's brain is actually functioning. Good for him, happy face. Thanks. I may lack emotional depth, but I'm not brain dead. Tom Dalton didn't try to deny it. He kept his head down, and a deep flush bloomed from the tips of his ears all the way down his neck. He looked completely mortified. I sighed, silently. Whatever. He's the male lead. If he wants to wear that stupid sling, let him. I picked up a piece of bread. Still want me to feed you? Tom looked up. The panic in his eyes slowly melted into something soft and warm. He nodded. Yes. The comments were absolutely thriving. I'm losing brain cells but gaining serotonin. They're so married and don't even know it. Can they just kiss already, or should I do it for them? We visited the hospital together once to see his grandma. She was a bit confused from illness. Even though Tom called her grandma and told her I was just a friend, she clung to my hand and called me grandson. Then, from under her pillow, she pulled out a few Cowtails candies and stuffed them eagerly into my palm. Our little one loves these, she beamed, gently patting the back of my hand. Eat up. Just don't let your dad catch you. For the first time in a while, the comment stream slowed down. Oh no. She mistook Peter for her real grandson? But the twist is, they both are. I'm gonna cry. This is too much. I stood frozen. The candy was a little melted from being under her pillow. The wrapper edges stuck together, and the air was faintly sweet with that nostalgic milky smell. I unwrapped one and placed it on my tongue. It was sweet. Sweeter than any I'd ever had before. Grandma smiled contentedly, her brittle fingers brushing over my hair as she whispered with pride. Our little one's going to college soon. I looked over at Tom, standing quietly to the side, his lips pressed together. His eyes were wet, just barely holding it in. Grandma clutched my hand tightly. She rambled softly about Tom Dalton's childhood, bits and pieces of memories she cherished. And in that moment, I understood why his eyes could still shine so bright after growing up in that kind of place. Why he could stay kind despite the violence of his father. Because there was always someone who snuck him candy, who loved him unconditionally, who used those thin, trembling hands to hold up a tiny world just for him. A world full of love. Life might have been bitter and poor, but Tom Dalton grew up loved. It really was a strange thing. Grandma talked herself into sleep. The corners of her lips curled into a peaceful smile. I sat beside her, quiet. Something in my chest shifted, just slightly. On the way out, Tom murmured, "Thanks for coming to see her. She hasn't smiled like that in a long time." At the end of the hallway, Sunlight spilled in through the windows. For the first time I thought, maybe a simple life, if it's filled with love, isn't such a bad thing after all. After getting Tom's dad locked up and moving his grandma into the best hospital in town, everything changed. He was lighter, freer. Under my daily food deliveries, he even started putting on a little weight. But he still went out for part-time jobs on the weekend, tutoring, gaming gigs, whatever he could find. He tried giving me back the money I gave him, no matter how many times I told him not to. He still didn't know he was the real heir. That every dollar I spent on him was technically already his. The Lamberg family was huge, powerful, and busy. My parents were always working. Growing up, all they left me were warm numbers in a bank account. More than I could ever spend. Seriously. So I couldn't care less whether Tom paid me back or not. This money? It belonged to him anyway. But if it made him feel better, let him. The comment section even gave me a great idea. Hire Tom as my tutor. That way he could earn money, and I could rack up more redemption points. Win-win. Sounded good to me. So I made the offer. Tom's face immediately darkened. He stared at me like I was brain dead. Who hires the top student to tutor the second-place guy? I rubbed my nose awkwardly. Oops. Forgot I was ranked first. Being a ridiculously competent villain is honestly exhausting. At least the male lead was a grateful one. Every time he came back from work, he'd bring me my favorite burgers or fried chicken. And on quieter days, he'd cook for me himself. He was a surprisingly good cook. I always ate till I was stuffed. The days slipped by faster than I realized. After college entrance exams, the plot took a wild turn. Through a routine blood test before graduation, Tom Dalton got identified. Mr. and Mrs. Lamberg took one look at the tall, handsome young man in front of them and were thrilled. Their real son at last. Just as I was finally about to breathe a sigh of relief, the comment stream lit up with spoilers. Hey, the ending's coming. Author confirmed it's a B. Brace yourselves. All that effort, all that struggle, down the drain? Even after everything, I still couldn't outrun a bad ending? Then forget it. I was getting the hell out of here. Run as far as I could. No regrets. I curled up in a damp little motel room in a rainy southern town. The kind of place that hadn't seen a license renewal in a decade. The walls were peeling and it smelled like mildew. But it was hidden. Quiet. I ditched all electronics to avoid being tracked, taken 5 different long-distance buses, and finally ended up here with barely any cash left to count. At last, I could sleep without looking over my shoulder. That's what I thought, until the comment stream started flashing again. Still counting money? Male lead's about to lose his mind looking for you. Heads up, he's arriving in 3, 2, 1. Peter, get ready. Somebody's ass is grass. Right on cue, slow, measured footsteps echoed down the hallway. Each one stomped right on my nerves. I bolted upright. Frantically scanned the room for exits, calculated whether I could make it out the window in time. And just as I was about to climb over the windowsill, Peter Lamberg. His voice hit me like a trigger. I froze. The lock turned with a click. Then came his voice, tight with emotion, cracked and shaking. You said you'd be my support. Why'd you leave me behind again? I turned around. Tom Dalton was standing in the doorway. His white shirt was soaked through, plastered to his skin. Raindrops dripped from his hair. His eyes were bloodshot, deep shadows beneath them. It was clear he hadn't slept in days. And yet, his gaze was fixed on me with an almost obsessive intensity, like if he looked away for even a second, I'd vanish. My chest tightened, unfamiliar and sudden. I didn't even know what it was I felt. Tom stepped in, shut the door behind him, locked it, then slowly, deliberately, unbuckled his belt. He advanced, step by step, until my back hit the wall. He took my wrist. The belt was rough and cold as it wound around my skin, one loop at a time. It locked into place. He leaned in, close enough that our noses nearly touched. His breath was warm, hot against my cheek. His voice dropped to a terrifying whisper. Then I'll just keep you right here. Forever. The comments exploded. HE's gone to Yandere mode, activated. Peter, you pushed him to this. Time to take responsibility. In the end, I still ran. Tom Dalton might have looked unhinged, but deep down, he was still obedient. All I had to do was murmur, "Tom, don't do this." And he stopped. He bit my throat, just hard enough to sting. Then undid the belt. "Let me go." The comment stream wailed. "He's done for. Stick a fork in him. No way you just walked out on that. My soul is limp." The enemies to lovers tension is criminal. Turns out they weren't wrong. Tom let me go, but he didn't let me go. Wherever I went, he followed. Like a shadow I couldn't shake. Eventually, I had to sit him down and lay it out. "Tom, I have emotional dysfunction. I don't have the ability to love anyone. I'll never love you." Tom looked straight at me. "That's okay. I'll love you enough for both of us." I shook my head. "That's not fair to you. But I don't mind." He was so stubborn about it, I gave up. Let him follow me around. Eventually, I figured he'd realize it was a waste of time. That I wasn't worth the effort. He'd walk away on his own. But fate apparently had other ideas. It happened in an alley. Random. Sudden. Some lunatic threw a knife. Straight at Tom. I didn't think. I just moved. Shoved him out of the way with everything I had. The comments blew up. See? He cares. Peter literally took a knife for him. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Is what mutual healing looks like. Why this? I'm shaking. I'm crying. I'm invested. Whatever. Can you guys stop shipping for 1 second? Does anyone care that I nearly died just now? The comment stream, of course, picked up on my thoughts immediately. Peter Lamberg, don't forget, you're in a novel. Gotta hand it to the author, this prop knife setup? Flawlessly executed. No injuries, but it sure got Peter to confront his feelings. Me. I looked up and crashed straight into Tom Dalton's bloodshot eyes. Trying to regain the upper hand, I said stiffly, "It was a fake knife." Didn't matter. Tom yanked me into his arms like I was the only thing holding him together. "It's happening. It's happening." His arms were iron tight around me. His heartbeat was so fast, so heavy, I could feel every thud slamming through my chest. Soon, a warm patch bloomed against my shoulder. Wait, was he crying? Something squeezed sharply in my chest, dull, unfamiliar. So this was what it felt like, to ache for someone else? I hesitated, then slowly wrapped my arms around him, patting his back awkwardly. "Don't cry. I'm starving. Hurry home and make me noodles." Tom froze for a second, then burst into laughter, even as tears clung to his lashes. "I'll add 2 sausages." The sausages were eaten, among other things. Turns out the comments weren't wrong. It was a bad ending. Tom Dalton nibbled at my ear, voice dripping with mischief. "Peter, with your dulled pain response, does that mean it's harder for you to feel good?" His lips curled against my skin. "Should I try a few more times just in case?"
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.